So I've had firmware 8 for about a week and a half now. I've put on, let's see, I've gotten to play with it for approximately 800 miles. And there's a lot of big changes with firmware 8. And some of them take some time to get used to. So I wanted to, why is my charge current down so low? There we go. I wanted to test them out a little bit before I, really made my final opinion video. And actually, the longer I'm going on firmware 8, the more pissed off I'm getting. So, while there were some good changes, the good changes, in my opinion, were both related to good and bad related to autopilot, and the bad changes were pretty much everywhere else. So some things I'm going to be making a separate video on to get more specific, but here is my opinion, overall opinion on the problems with firmware 8. Let's start with auto exiting. You might have seen my video already trying to demonstrate the auto freeway exit, because Tesla's press release talked about automatic freeway exiting in firmware 8 using the turn signal, and in firmware 8.1 is supposed to have something in nav showing you taking an exit for it to work. So, what I attribute to Tesla's ongoing communication problems, and even more so when they make major changes to software, especially software that is in control of people's lives, such as autopilot, not having and I'm a major proponent for a full change log, every change, whereas Tesla's change log, especially on 8.0, pretty much at the end just said, and 200 more changes not worth mentioning. Actually, let's get the exact wording on that. And this is what pisses me off, because especially with the, all the hype of 8.0, the press, blog post press release, and 200 more bullet points not worth mentioning. Let's see, improved. Actually, I don't even see it on here. More improvements. Climate control, displays, home link, improved regen braking. Actually, I don't even see it on here anymore. It was on here at some point. It might have been a different spot. So either way, if you're going to make changes to my vehicle, you need to tell me what is all the changes. Apparently, 8.0 never actually got automatic freeway exiting, despite what we were all led to believe. And some other information put out by Tesla has now changed it from automatic freeway exiting to automatic interchange taking-ish. And I'm going to try and load Tesla Motors' website while we're talking here and see if I can somehow get the blog post to load, but the browser is actually worse than it was previously. So, auto exit was to be in firmware 8 with nav and turn signal on. Tesla changed it to interchange navigation. I'm trying to figure out exactly what interchange navigation actually means, because if there's going to be a major turn off on an interchange, basically before, if I had my turn signal on, it would take it anyways. I see no difference at this time. But I attribute number one on my list to the usual. For a technology company, they have some of the worst, absolute worst communication in the world. Next, autopilot. In general, the functionality of autopilot has improved. I love the lane lock. Lane lock, in general, has been greatly improved for things such as freeway driving or highway driving, or it's straight away. And I have, at the same time, I'm actually seeing a regression on curve navigation where there's a windy road, even a country, I'm talking country windy roads, whereas it would maintain me in the center of the lane considerably better before on windy roads. Now I'm going over onto the curb, and I did bump, now I'm going over and the car is riding on the center line, whereas before, and these are same roads I drive regularly, it did not do it before. And I drive a lot, and I've done a lot on autopilot, so I mean, I believe I have the ability to speak on this subject. Issues with sudden lane shifts where no issues were in the past, and now this, between the autopilot and the exiting, that's getting its own video again as a follow-up, and this one I have entirely another video coming. But sudden lane shifts. Now, I drive between Milwaukee and the Wisconsin Dells twice and back. I do that round trip at minimum once a week, every week. So basically, I've already driven that route on autopilot about 100 times at this point. And there are some areas where, due to ongoing construction, if you have ever been to Wisconsin, we have 2 seasons, winter and road construction season. I mean, I am 32, no, how old am I? I'm 31, and I got my temporary driver's license, my first, my probationary driver's license when I was 15 and a half. I remember no time in my entire life where that inner freeway system between Milwaukee, especially Milwaukee County, and between the Dells has not been under construction. We're talking over 11 years, and it seems like they finish it and then they start tearing it up immediately. So there's sections where you're going straight and then the lane shifts and then goes straight again. Like I say, I drive this both directions at least one round trip a week. I have previously had 0, maybe once or twice, I've maybe had 1 or 2 issues on these sections. Now I have a problem every time, and the problem isn't that the car is losing lock on the lines or the vehicle in front of me. It sees the lines. The problem is the lines change, the car sees that the lines change, but instead of the car turning, the car keeps going straight into the barricade. And I got a few, I love this new PCH dash cam, integrated dash cam. Oh, I got a few examples that I will be incorporating into the upcoming video on that. Extremely dangerous. If I was not paying attention, I would have crashed straight into the barricade. I'm extremely pissed. That is a regression on autopilot. Problem number 3 with autopilot. I am getting more random accelerations and decelerations. Even when the vehicle is directly in front of me, if a vehicle that I'm behind wobbles a little bit, maybe gets a little too close to the line or the curb, or one side of the line or not, all of a sudden my car goes like a quick little accel and then brakes again. Like it suddenly, thought maybe the car is in a different lane, and then it's back in my lane again. Did not have those issues before. I'm thinking that has something to do with how the changes in the radar are acting now. And this one is taking the cake. Okay, I have no problem with Elon's new or Tesla's new 3 strikes and your autopilot out, whereas if you do not respond to the notifications to have your hands on the wheel within so many notifications, then autopilot will disable for the remainder of the drive. Then you have to come to a complete stop, put the car in park, and then go at it again, and then put it in drive again to bring back your autopilot. Here's the problem I have with it, though. Okay, I'm using it properly. I leave at least one hand on the wheel at all times. Though I don't have a death grip or strong grip on the wheel, but I keep a hand on there and let the car do its thing. So I do have a hand on the wheel. Okay, when it does go ding, 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 if I don't have a strong grip on it, it might not sense that my hand's there, so then I just give it a little nudge, say, yeah, I'm still here, I'm still paying attention. Well, the problem is getting to be, and this is really getting excessive. It happened last Friday, a week ago Friday, on the way up here to the Dells, and I was almost here, and I had my hand on the wheel, and I had just reactivated autopilot because it was a pretty, stop and go situation, and I was navigating between a semi and some other vehicles to get away from a crap load of slow moving vehicles on the freeway. Autopilot wasn't even active for more than 30 seconds before all of a sudden I got the weet. Autopilot will be disabled for the remainder of this drive. Number one, there was no audible notification that it was trying to notify me to pay attention, considering I had only had autopilot on for about 30 seconds. Number two, there had been no visual notification that it had been trying to get my attention. It just went straight to weet. And it's been happening even more frequently. Now, today, on our way home from dinner, I had Granny and Grandpa in the car, had the boys in the car, we were all here. My mom was sitting in the front seat, and she was looking at the screen, and I was looking, and we're going down a country road, and I'm looking down because I was checking tire pressures, and she was just looking to see what the changes were with firmware 8. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, and I was looking right at the screen because I wanted to see my tire pressures, which you can't see it now because we're not moving these tire sensors sleep after a while. So while I'm looking at tire pressures, mind you, there is no warning down here. The white flashing is not going around here. Out of nowhere, weet. Take control of vehicle immediately. Autopilot unavailable for remainder of this drive. What the frack? I'm trying to use it properly, and it's not letting me. And I don't care what the logs say. I'm going to have to start getting my action cam going again. However, one of my memory cards disappeared. Don't know how the hell that happened. My dash cam memory card actually disappeared. I think it accidentally... They took it out for some reason at Tesla service, and they had put it in a cup holder that must have gotten vacuumed up when they vacuumed out my car. So I took the one out of my action cam for my dash cam. That's more important. But I'm going to have to start recording this. I don't care what the logs say. Or what Tesla says on this. It gave me zero warning before telling me, take control of the vehicle immediately. Autopilot's disabled for the remainder of the drive. That is pissing me off. On the bright side, autopilot can now see 2 cars ahead with what I would call X-ray vision radar, which is kind of neat, using radar bouncing. I'm not going to rehash that subject. That does work, and I have seen it work to help slow me a bit in stop-and-go traffic where the vehicle in front of me, stop-and-go traffic like on the freeway rush hour, where the vehicle in front of me wasn't stopping, slowing down. The car reacted to the vehicle in front of that. The issues I'm saying with the random accel and decel are where there's only one vehicle in front of me and nothing else. So it's not reacting to something further ahead of the vehicle that's in front of me. Next, I have no problems with the 5 mile an hour limit over the speed limit on divided highway or non-divided highway roads. However, on this release, Tesla has changed it so now you can't even set it higher. Like, okay, give you an example. The highway down the street from here has a posted speed limit of 45. So I can set my cruise control or the autopilot speed at 50, which is fine. However, I already know that another half mile further, the speed limit goes up to 55. On firmware 7, I could preset my cruise control speed to 60. So when I got to the 55 zone and the car read the speed limit sign, it would automatically raise my speed up to 60 then, which is 5 miles an hour over the speed limit at that time. And then if I approached a slower section, which there are, it would automatically slow me down to 50, which would be 5/45. And then once I passed the slow section, it would bring me back up to 60. It worked great. Now, you cannot even set the cruise control faster than 5/. Well, maybe if you're someone that's new to a Tesla and you already got that whole, got the whole habit down of getting used to it, so as soon as you're back in that faster zone, then you tap it to bring the speed back up. But if you're someone that's already put 17,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 miles on the old system, okay, all of a sudden now you got a line of cars behind you and they're beeping at you because mentally, you're used to it already going back up to the faster limit that you have it set at. Instead, now you're still putting along at 50 miles an hour instead of 60. So now you got a row of pissed off people. It's just another regression. They've made a lot of progress with autopilot, and then they went and ticked a ton of steps backwards. Okay, next, app switching annoys the living shit out of me. Before, if you tapped to open an app, it would automatically open that app on the top. Now, it will only open your navigation or camera on the top. Everything else opens on the bottom. Driving me batshit crazy. Excuse the language, but why change a good thing? Or at least give us the option to turn it off. I like my camera on the bottom, and a lot of people I talk to also like their camera on the bottom. So now I have my camera on the bottom, so I want to open up the browser. So I tap the browser button. All of a sudden my camera's gone, and okay, no, I don't want my browser on the bottom. The camera's nice to have on the bottom because it's just a quick glance down, gives you a wider field of view than looking out your back window. If I want something on the browser, maybe to check the weather while I'm going, or my trip meter, same thing with that, or the calendar, or audio, or phone menu, I want it on the top because then I don't have to take my eyes off the road as much. Now, if I had the browser already open on the top and the camera on the bottom, and I tap nav, okay, nav opens up on the top. Okay, check, all right, we're doing good. We got a ways to go yet. So then I want to switch back to browser. So I tap the browser again. Well, guess what? Nav is still on top. Now browser's on the bottom and my camera's gone. Why? Yes, I know. You can press and hold the button, and then it will let you select which screen, and you can let go again. It's an extra unnecessary step. Or you can press and then drag it to the top or bottom, depending on which one you want. It's another unnecessary step. And also the problem with pressing and holding, or pressing and then dragging, is the center screens are so laggy, underpowered and laggy, at least for the user interface. And even, yes, still, even though they made a great speed improvement with Firmware 8 in terms of reducing that lagginess, it's still there, and the longer your system's gone without a screen reboot, the worse it gets. And you might try, and it might screw up something else, or might not respond. Which leaves us to the smart zoom for nav. So now you're on nav. Smart zoom on nav. And I'm not sure, let's see if I tap it once. Yep, there we go. Okay, that, now once you put it in drive or you tap it once, all right, now it takes up the whole top screen. Might as well start at the top. At the top, the contrast of the buttons are very hard to see. Can barely see that the door is unlocked or locked. You can see the T logo at the top, which, I mean, that's next to useless. And you can barely see the time. Let's see what we are now missing. Oh, I'm missing that I'm charging. I'm missing the home link button if I'm approaching home. I'm missing my menu for seat settings. Oh, there it's going again. And all I wanted to do was close the seat settings menu, and look, I hit it. But if then I'd have to go down here and tap it on the bottom screen. Now it kept it up there. Okay, missing the information of whether or not Bluetooth's connected. I'm missing my cellular signal. And at least now I can actually see my clock. What else am I missing? I'm also missing quick access to everything else. Personally, that's not much of a difference in gaining additional viewing, especially with the ability to zoom onto the section of roads once you're navigating to something. This smart zoom is useless. Next, talking about the lagginess of the screen. Once your screen's been on for a while without a reboot, things start to lag up a bit, and sometimes I've had it where I've had to tap the screen 5 or 6 times for the menu to drop. There, I just did it now and it didn't drop down. See? Multiple times. And then sometimes if you think it's not responding and you do it too many times, then it would... See, if it's not responding, you might actually re-hide. So now you're trying to do it again and you're screwing around with this unnecessarily extra steps, messing up the whole user experience. Although on the bright side, things like pressing and holding the navigate button, see, now that's not even responding due to the lagginess. And there we go. Now it's navigating home. That I like. Finally. A quick way to navigate. But this whole freaking hiding thing is unnecessarily extra steps. Give us a toggle to shut this off. Give us a toggle to stop the app switching. I want that on the frickin' bottom, and I want that on the top. It's driving me nuts. And Tesla Motors isn't even loading. Overall, style and looks. The whole style of Firmware 8 is flat and low contrast. If you're in day view, it hurts your eyes horribly. Look at that. That looks like shit. What is this, 1989? Are we running this off of a NES? Too much white space, no contrast. Personally, the original firmware with the gradient styles was excellent. Every step they're going backwards. First they took away our graded speedometer. Then they took away and made things considerably flatter with firmware 7, which pissed off a lot of people. And they still didn't listen to the owners. And this is all flat, no contrast. This is hard to read, especially if the sun's shining in here. I keep it on night because night does give me... I'll start brightening it up. Night does give me better contrast than day, because at least the icons and everything are lit in a color and then the background's black. So that does give you a good contrast look. But it's much too flat with the horrible contrast. Instead of really listening to the owner's opinions, especially us longtime owners that have already been in it for 3 and 4 years, they are following Apple, which people are really getting pissed off about the flat UIs on Apple products. And this is just, this looks like crap. Audio system. God damn it. Okay, let's start with USB. Alright, they took away the great USB navigation that we had before, and they gave us this. Let's see, can I make this any brighter? There we go, manual. That'll show up a little better in camera. They gave us this. Alright. Albums. What the hell is this? Nothing's in the right album. Genre. For starters, I have no 60s music. What just do folder view. Okay, well now instead of having everything in one nice list and being able to jump to whatever folder alphabetically, now we have dual screens like this, artists, instead of once again being able to jump alphabetically. Now we have this very hard to read, especially while you're driving. Okay, I already know it's Vinicio Capistrano. I don't need to know what the artist is, especially if it's in a specific folder. Just list the songs in alphabetical order. Yes, I know. B, C, C, D, I. You know, it's going left to right, left to right, left to right for alphabetical order. What the hell kind of list is that? Vertically. And if I want to go back before, you could just touch the screen, go like this, and it would bring you back to the previous menu. Now you got to hit the little arrow up here. Extra unnecessary step again. Well, I can't play any music because of copyright reasons. Let me make sure the volume's turned down just in case. Otherwise I won't be able to post this. So, USB audio nav is nasty crap. It was much more useful before. Took less steps. Next, streaming, Slacker. Okay, this has more to do with voice searching. Okay, let's do voice search. Play Folsom Prison Blues by Reverend Horton Heat. Okay, and now I do know Slacker has. Oh, of course, now it plays something that's completely different. Usually, it would bring up Folsom Prison Blues, but not by artist Reverend Horton Heat, no matter which way I say it. Yeah, I could even say play Folsom Prison Blues by artist Reverend Horton Heat, and they'll still get it wrong. It will play it by Johnny Cash, which personally, Horton Heat was better than Johnny Cash. Which comes to the point of before, if you did a search for a song, it would pop up the menu and it would let you pick the specific song from the specific artist. Now it just randomly takes whatever. Play Ghostbusters by artist Scary Gang. Okay, see, this is another example. I know it has Ghostbusters by the artist Scary Gang, or The Scary Gang, but instead it goes straight to Ray Parker Jr. I'd rather have Ray Parker Jr. in this case, but Gino's been making us listen to the Ghostbusters so much, I just thought I would use that as an example. To actually get the search list, you'd have to do a step backwards and then try and go through it. See, there it is. Now I can play it by The Scary Gang. So in my opinion, voice search for Slacker, or for streaming music, they don't even call it Slacker anymore, they just call it streaming, is worse. Trying to switch to radio now takes multiple presses and still does not always pop up. Let me demonstrate. Alright, so now we are playing a song from on Slacker streaming radio. Let's switch to an FM or AM station. So we hit radio here. Oh, didn't respond. And of course, this time it does come up. Go figure. Let's go to AM here. Let's turn on 11:30 AM. Alright, we got 11:30 AM. Alright, let's switch to browser. Go back, and now this one's been hit or miss. Search around, back to radio. Okay, of course, now it's going to make a liar out of me. This has been hit or miss. Sometimes when I go back to the radio, AM, FM buttons are not there. Neither is the HD. And I mean, then I have to go back and I'll have to switch back to, well, maybe it's from USB. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's play something on USB, go back to radio. Okay, this is what it is. A bunch of times it will come straight to this. It'll give me a favorite screen instead of the radio. And now I can't get back to... I can't get back to the AM/FM screen. See, I'm hitting it. I can't get to the play screen. Maybe if I maximize, nope. I can't get back to the AM/FM screen now. I'd have to go to something else, play another song. Now it gets me to the play screen. Oh, even then, now I still can't get back to it. Oh, it's down here now. Let's go to radio. But now it's only showing... Oh, how about that? Yet another unnecessary step. Finally, I just discovered that. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Hide it, open it. Useless. Mind you, this is all my opinion. But, I mean, this is, to me, any extra step, especially in a vehicle where that was pretty streamlined before, adding extra steps to things is a extra step backwards. Now, let's see what happens when I try searching for the next... I tried changing stations. Instead of going to the next radio station, because I remember I was on radio, instead it moved me over to a next favorite, which was the Red Elvises. If you haven't ever heard of the Red Elvises, please do. Also go watch Six String Samurai. Igor is the best. But now, instead of switching favorites, oh, now it seems to be hit or miss. Let's try back to, and now it's randomly searching on AM again. This is very clunky. It's just a very clunky, unrefined feel. All right, getting close to the end. I know this is 32 minutes already. Wow. Next, browser. Still just as useless as it was before, if not more. Tesla Motors website was loading for me fine previously on previous versions. Now it doesn't, and it's also fairly unresponsive yet. Extremely slow, still on LTE. Autopilot enhancements. Might as well just take a peek here. Auto steer. Cabin overheat. Now, the cabin overheat prevention is another one of those that they made a step in the right direction. That was an awesome, genius idea. Now we're starting to leg up here. It's been 4 years and they can't even get the browser right. Here we go. Voice commands, autopilot, additional improvements. They got rid of and 200 more improvements. Okay, let's go to a different site that I use all the time. Let's go to National Weather Service, weather.gov. Let's see if it'll load right today. Some days it does, most of the time it does not. And today it's deciding to load. Maybe that's because I just rebooted it shortly before doing this video. Usually these whole screens are all disconjumbled, out of whack. In general, it's hit or miss whether or not a website will load properly. I could probably load this 30 times, and then on number 31 it will not load, and this menu will be gone, or just all over the place. Let's try Train Mountain. On firmware 7, Train Mountain loaded fine. On firmware 8, it just loads a giant background picture, and it puts everything else down here real clunkily, like I guess the biggest complaint on the browser is it's been 4 years, December 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh, we're going on 5 years. And the browser is just pretty much as bad as it was on day one. Let's put a black screen there. Let's bring up the charging screen. Here's where they did make some improvement. This is kind of neat to show. I mean, I think they copied was BMW a little bit on that. However, setting the charge limit, once again, the problem comes to be contrast. It's hard to tell on the day view. Can you see that? Okay, I can only handle so much of that really bad contrast. All right, well, we still have voltage when we're charging on AC. You got the amperage, mileage, miles an hour, which is basically useless because it's an average. On supercharging, they finally gave us back energy consumption in terms of kilowatts or kilowatt hours while supercharging, but they took away the voltage. Sure, you can do kilowatts and amperage. Was it watts divided by amps equals volts? But why? Look how big and beautiful this screen is. Why are we limiting how much information's on it? And they still don't give us. I'm actually current limited now. Firmware 8 seems to be more. Firmware 8 seems to be even more restrictive than 7 or 6 on current limiting. This is on a 100 amp circuit with vastly oversized wiring to the breaker box, which is oversized wiring to the pole. There should be absolutely no reason. The voltage drop is actually due to a long pole run from the transformer to the breaker box, not anything internal. There's no heating up or no overheating of any of the internal wiring. Everything's just peachy, yet still current limits, and it does it even quicker and more so now than it did in the past. Anyways, well, it looks kind of neat. The daytime contrast again kills it. And I mean, just the lack of information. Why do they have to take away information? We want more. We keep asking for more, and they keep giving us less. So, these are my opinions as a Tesla driver. On my own vehicles, I have about 100,000 miles worth of Tesla driving on my own privately owned Tesla vehicles that I've had since 2013. If you factor in all the mileage I've done on the extensive list of loaners I had during the ownership of my first car, or my first Tesla, I'd probably be up at about 120,000 miles worth of... Cool, sold something on eBay. I'd probably be at about 120,000 miles worth of driving. Shh. A lot of us owners are giving you guys our feedback, yet it doesn't seem like they're taking it. And before you go saying, well, Tesla's doing something that no other auto manufacturer has been doing, true, and they get a lot of leeway for that. But at the same time, they also need to start getting with the program here, because once that Model 3 comes out, I think Tesla's in for a big, big shock. My final opinion on Firmware 8 is, at this time, the way it currently functions, I'd rather be back on Firmware 7, and if I knew I could get firmware 7 back without having to file a lawsuit of some sort to try and get it back, I would. Personally, I'd rather go back to firmware 6, a flavor of firmware 6, if it had autopilot, but it does not. Firmware 6, I could live with the styling, the functionality, all that. It was pretty decent. There were still some quirks that they had gotten rid of that I would have liked back. But in general, I was happy on firmware 6. Firmware 7 introduced a lot of changes that nobody likes. I actually know a couple owners with autopilot cars that still have 6.2 firmware. They refuse to upgrade because of how crappy the upgrades have been. Yeah, I said crappy. For me as an owner, this is a step backwards. Not forwards, but backwards. I hope they take this to heart. I'm not trying to be hard on them. This is my criticism and effort to hopefully they start listening more towards the owners to improve the functionality, not go backwards. Personally, if they would have fixed the issues that were on the older firmware, I think we all would have been just perfectly fine, happy, and everything would have been peachy keen. We didn't want major change. We wanted the features they already had to work how they were originally intended to work. So I have made this video probably 20 minutes too long, but I had a lot to do. I will be doing another video, a follow-up talking about, well, I think maybe I already covered it, about how firmware 8, the exits. Originally they said, well, you get the idea. But I will be doing a completely separate video about the autopilot problem of not handling lane shifts anymore. Also, say I'm on the freeway, I'm in right lane. Then there's the middle lane, and then the left lane. Okay, I'm in the right lane. This lane takes the interchange turnoff this way. Middle lane and left lane keep going straight. My lines curve to take the interchange turnoff. But instead of my car actually following my lines, despite the screen showing them, the car instead decides to keep going straight. It's not just lane shifts, it's also been some interchange turnoffs. Didn't matter if my turn signal was on or not. So once again, a recap on autopilot. While it's maintaining straightaway lines better, any kind of turning and wavering, it is doing considerably worse on. Roads that I've done no problem for 6 months, 7 months now are unnavigatable. Not impressed. Plus, I have another video coming almost exactly a year ago. I did an autopilot. No, it wasn't a year ago. It was in spring, right after I got the 90D, around April, I think. I did a little bit of a hilly wooded drive on autopilot to see how it would handle some worst case scenarios on a 25 mile an hour speed limit road. Lots of ups, downs, curves back and forth. I believe it handled it better previously than it did today, in almost identical conditions. That was in spring. This is in fall. Sun was in the almost exact same spot. The only difference today was I had my parents in the car with us, and you can hear them. My dad saying, "Oh, I think, oh shit." Once my mom saying, "What?" Or something like that. Obviously, autopilot wasn't quite designed for that, but just to show that it was a regression. I had to take control of the vehicle considerably more today on that road than I did 6 or 7 months ago when I tested it on the original autopilot software. That was a step backwards as well. And I'll have the link up to that so you can see last season's and this season's and the differences between them. So that's it. 44 minutes on this video. Sorry guys, I didn't make it that brutal.